Let me ask you something most men never stop to think about. Why is it that the so-called nice guy is always forgotten? Why is it that the man who gave her flowers, texted her good morning every day, and was always available, gets replaced without a second thought? The answer is uncomfortable, but it's the truth. Women don't remember the man who made them feel safe. They remember the man who made them feel something. And that something isn't always comfort. Sometimes it's tension. Sometimes it's chaos. Sometimes it's even pain mixed with passion. But whatever it is, it leaves a mark. And that's what makes him unforgettable. And this is where most men fail. They think being stable, predictable, and endlessly loyal is enough. But impact always outweighs intention. You can mean well all day, but if you don't leave an emotional impression, you'll be forgotten. That's why here on Stoic Reflections, we cut through the lies society feeds men and get straight to the core of what really builds respect, attraction, and presence. This isn't about tricks. It isn't about begging or chasing. It's about becoming a man who carries himself with such discipline, strength, and mystery that he lives rent-free in a woman's mind. And in this video, I'm going to break down the 5 powerful things a man can do that women never forget. Not the cheesy, predictable gestures that disappear in a week, but deep, psychological triggers that hit her heart, her mind, and even her primal instincts. Stay with me until the end, because once you understand this, you'll never look at attraction the same way again, and you'll never be average again. 1. He walks away without explaining. The most powerful thing a man can say is nothing at all. Silence is the weapon most men never learn to use, but the man who does becomes unforgettable. Most guys make the same mistake. They talk too much. They over-explain, they beg, they argue, they write long texts trying to prove their worth, and every word makes them weaker in her eyes. Forgettable, replaceable. But the man she never forgets, he plays a different game. He doesn't explain himself. He doesn't chase after her. He doesn't hand her the closure she expects. He just walks away, calm, silent, unshaken. And here's the twist. Silence cuts deeper than words ever could. When you argue, she still has control. When you beg, she feels superior. But when you walk away without explanation, you flip the power dynamic. Suddenly, she's the one left asking questions. Why didn't he react? Why didn't he fight for me? Why doesn't he need me? Picture this. She pushes your buttons in an argument. Maybe she mocks you. Maybe she withdraws her affection. Maybe she throws out insults to test your reaction. Most men fall right into the trap, raising their voice, typing out paragraphs, or trying to win her back. But you pause. You hold your ground. You simply say, "I'm not doing this," and then you walk away. No anger, no desperation, no explanation, just presence, just silence. That moment, it echoes. It doesn't fade in hours, it lingers for days, weeks, sometimes years. Because deep down, she will never forget the man who refused to play her game. The man who didn't need to prove himself. The man who left her in mystery. And that's the lesson. Silence creates space. Space creates curiosity. Curiosity creates obsession. When you walk away without explaining, you don't just exit the moment. You enter her mind, and once you're there, she can never fully let you go. This is not weakness. This is not avoidance. This is discipline. This is power. This is the Stoic way of showing that your peace cannot be bought, and your worth does not need words. And that, brother, is exactly why you become unforgettable. 2. He triggers jealousy without trying. Nothing burns in a woman's mind like jealousy. And the man who sparks it without even trying is the man she can never forget. Most men think jealousy is about playing games, posting fake stories, or trying to make her insecure. That's weak. That's desperate. The kind of man who forces jealousy ends up looking childish. But the man she remembers, he doesn't even try. His life naturally makes her jealous, because he's busy, he's desired, and he's not orbiting around her world. Here's the truth. Women don't obsess over the man they fully control. They obsess over the man who has options, the man whose attention feels rare, the man who, even if he cares, shows with his actions that his life does not revolve around her. Picture this. She checks your Instagram story and sees you laughing with friends, chasing your goals, living fully. Not posting to provoke her, just living. She looks at the way other people respect you, the way women notice you, the way you move with confidence. And deep down, something stirs. He doesn't need me. Other people want him. I could lose him. That's when jealousy sets in. Not because you played a game, but because your life is already attractive without her. And here's the twist. Jealousy is not always negative. If handled with calmness and strength, it creates desire. It makes her compete for your time, for your energy, for your attention. Most men destroy attraction by giving too much of themselves. They're always available, always texting, always proving loyalty to a woman who hasn't even earned it. But the unforgettable man? He lives with purpose. He spends time with people who inspire him. He stays disciplined in his mission. And without even realizing it, his presence triggers her deepest fear, being replaced. And that's the lesson. Jealousy, when it's natural, is a sign of your value. It shows her you're a man in demand, a man with options, a man she cannot fully possess. And the man she cannot fully possess is the one she can never forget. This isn't about playing tricks. It's about living so fully that your life itself becomes magnetic. It's about showing that your world doesn't shrink to fit her. She has to fight to stay in yours. And that, brother, is why the man who sparks jealousy without even trying always leaves a mark. 3. He creates emotional chaos that sticks. Here's a secret most men never learn. Comfort makes you forgettable, but chaos makes you unforgettable. Most men play it safe. They try to always be agreeable, predictable, easy to handle. And guess what? That's exactly why women move on and forget them. Safe men fade. But the man she can't erase from her memory, he's the one who shook her emotions, the one who made her feel highs and lows she couldn't ignore. Now don't get it twisted. This doesn't mean being toxic or cruel. It means you're unafraid to be real. You don't hide your standards. You don't bite your tongue when something crosses the line. You don't always agree just to keep the peace. You create contrast, and contrast creates intensity. Think about it. A roller coaster ride is unforgettable because it's not flat. It's full of drops, climbs, and sharp turns. The same goes for attraction. When a woman experiences joy, frustration, excitement, and curiosity with you, her emotions bond her to you. Even if she walks away, her mind replays the chaos you created. Picture this. She tests you with sarcasm or disrespect. Most men laugh it off or nervously agree. But you challenge her. Maybe you tease back. Maybe you call her bluff. Maybe you pull away without explaining. That little spark of unpredictability stirs her emotions, and emotions are glue. And here's the paradox. Women don't remember men who gave them only peace. They remember the men who made their heart race, even when it was complicated. Because the brain attaches stronger to intensity than to comfort. And that's the lesson. Don't be afraid of emotional storms. They don't weaken attraction, they deepen it. As long as you remain stoic, disciplined, and grounded, a little chaos makes you unforgettable. Peace makes you stable. Chaos makes you memorable. The man who can command both is the man who leaves his mark forever. That is the power of presence. That is the path of a Stoic. 4. He sets rules she cannot break. The man she forgets bends his rules. The man she remembers never does. Here's the mistake most men make. They believe love means tolerance. They think if they accept everything, her moods, her disrespect, her games, she'll see how loyal they are. But the truth, every time you break your own rules, you lose value in her eyes. And a man without value is a man easily replaced. The unforgettable man is different. He lives by a code. He knows what he will allow and what he won't. And he never apologizes for it. His boundaries are not threats, they are standards. And when a woman realizes she cannot bend those standards, she respects him, and she never forgets him. Picture this. She raises her voice, insults you in public, or tries to test your patience by crossing a line. The average guy laughs it off, hoping to keep the peace. Some even beg for her to stop. But you hold steady. You look her in the eye and say, "That doesn't work with me." Calm, direct, no yelling, no drama. Then you walk away if it continues. In that moment, she feels something rare, structure. She realizes you are not a man she can control, and paradoxically, that very structure creates attraction. Why? Because women may resist boundaries, but deep down they crave them. A man who cannot control himself is forgettable, but a man who can calmly control the frame of the relationship, that man lives in her memory. And here's the twist. Your rules are not just for her, they're for you. Every boundary you enforce reminds you of your worth. Every standard you hold builds your strength. And strength, brother, is unforgettable. And that's the lesson. Don't bend your code to keep a woman. Keep your code, and the right woman will fight to stay. A man with no rules is like a house with no walls. Easy to enter, easy to leave. Impossible to respect. But a man who stands firm on his code becomes a fortress. And that fortress, once felt, can never be forgotten. 5. He gives love, then disappears. The deepest scar a man can leave is love followed by silence. Here's the paradox. Women don't always remember the man who stayed. They remember the man who gave them a glimpse of love, intensity, passion, and then vanished before they could own him completely. That's the man who lingers in her mind like a ghost she can't forget. Most men do the opposite. They give love endlessly, pouring every ounce of energy into proving loyalty. They stay long after respect is gone. They try harder, explain more, sacrifice more, until she grows numb and walks away. And when she does, he's erased, forgotten. Another chapter closed. But the unforgettable man knows better. He gives real affection, but he gives it on his terms. He shows love without losing discipline. And just when she expects him to be permanently hers, he disappears into silence. Not out of weakness, not out of fear, but out of control. He chooses absence, and that absence burns her memory stronger than his presence ever could. Picture this. You share deep moments with her. Laughter, passion, maybe even vulnerability. She feels the connection. She thinks she owns it. But when the time comes, you don't chase, you don't beg, you don't cling. You step back into your world of purpose and let her sit with the echo of what you gave. And here's the twist. That echo grows louder the longer you're gone. She remembers the love, the intensity, the spark. But she also remembers that she couldn't keep you. And nothing haunts the human heart more than almost having something, then losing it. And that's the lesson. Women don't always hold on to the man who was perfectly there. They hold on to the man who gave them passion and then vanished with dignity. That man becomes a question mark in their soul, a memory they can't erase. This is not about games. It's about power, presence, and control. The Stoic man gives deeply, but never loses himself. He can walk away from anyone because his purpose is greater than any attachment. And that is why he is unforgettable. So, brother, now you know the truth. It isn't the man who gives the most, explains the most, or stays the longest that women remember. It's the man who dares to be different, The man who walks away without explaining. The man whose life sparks jealousy without effort. The man who creates storms instead of safety. The man who sets rules that cannot be broken. And the man who gives love, then disappears with dignity. Each of these traits has one thing in common: discipline. The discipline to control yourself when others lose control. The discipline to walk away when others beg. The discipline to live by your own code, no matter who stays or who leaves. And that, my brother, is the essence of Stoicism. It's why the words of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus still echo through history. Because a Stoic man doesn't chase being remembered. He becomes unforgettable by how he lives. This is Stoic Reflections, where men like you learn not just how to attract, but how to transform. Not through games, not through weakness, but through presence, strength, and purpose. If this message spoke to you, don't just watch, act. Subscribe, join this brotherhood, and step onto the path of becoming a man no woman and no world can ever forget. Because in the end, it's not about her memory. It's about your legacy.